You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler. This is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
We are back with an episode in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, so this will come out this Thursday, right, Tyler?
Oh yeah, we're recording it at 1 in the morning.
Well, okay. Well, hope everybody had a Merry Christmas then. So I don't know why that would ever matter. Like, you could not go back in time and release this before Christmas. So what I asked makes no goddamn sense. But this is where we're at. We're recording at 1:30 in the morning on a Thursday.
That's funny. Didn't even think about that until you brought that point up.
Yeah, so, okay. But I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a Happy New Year in advance.
Well, we actually got some poker going this week, a little bit, huh?
Yeah, it's I've got actually quite a bit of content. I was going over the stuff, and I've got a lot of stuff. And then I figure the podcast after this, we'll kind of go over the years in, like how we did, like on our goals and make new goals and everything. So we got quite a bit of content coming up, I believe.
Yeah, spoiler for next episode, I'll be quitting poker. That'll be my goal. So,
spoiler for last year. That was kind of the same goal.
Yeah, so. But, yeah, so, I mean, I had some interesting, this was a PLO disaster for me.
Okay.
I went and we were playing not even round of each, the reverse button, right?
Okay. One
hand only. So we're playing, let's see. So we first start off, I'm playing Hold'em. Things are going well enough. I'm at least up maybe like $100. Then we start playing PLO, the first big PLO hand I get. It's like suited ace king, 6-8 or something like that.
Is a ace?
Yeah, the ace.
Ace and king are suited together.
Yes. Well, no, not like the ace with the king. The like ace of spades, 6 of spades, 8 of spades, king of spades.
Oh, okay. So
I think it's just spades twice, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you were double suited.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
So I was thinking, well, this is a good hand to play.
I like this.
Then so we see the flop a million ways as per usual.
Okay.
Flop the stone cold nuts.
So was it the nut flush?
Sorry, nut straight.
Nut straight. So with ace king, I assume.
Nope.
With 8-6?
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking at 5-7-9?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty good flop for me, I would think, right?
That's a great flop for you. Do you have any backdoor flushes?
Yep.
Both?
Only one.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, this is perfect scenario. I didn't bet pot because since we've been studying, I was not just potting it.
Right.
But there was a flush draw out there, not mine.
Okay.
So I have the backdoor flush draw, the nuts currently. I bet get raised gigantic. So I get potted behind.
Okay.
Comes back to me. Everyone folds. Crazy action player who's a high stakes PLO player. Sitting there like he has like 2,000 in a stack. Just playing, constantly 3-betting me all night.
So is your pot all in here?
If I repot it, yes.
Okay, I think is that where you're going with it?
That's what I did. I was going to see what you thought about it.
Oh, no, 100%. I think, if you can get it all in with the nuts right there, I think that's definitely what you got to do.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. I got it all in for, a little bit over 500. First card on the turn, board pairs, he boats, and I lose. But I was just happy to hear that was what you would do, is repot it there.
Oh, I think it's... I think it'd be hard to argue to do anything else there. Once you bet and get raised and you can get it all in right there, I think that's just guaranteed. You want to go ahead and charge him for any equity that he might have.
Here's a question that might kind of put you on the spot, but so whenever I was against him, there was a flush draw out there, but he had a set. Who would have more equity if he had a flush draw with his set, or would it be pretty even?
Let me see. A flush draw with his set.
I thought we did the math where it was almost even, right?
So we're like 9 outs would be 36, and then he would have probably at least 5, 6 more, maybe 50. I think he's actually going to be ahead.
That's okay. Because remember we talked about this a few weeks ago where I was in the same spot where I flopped the nuts. And the guy, I turned the nuts and the guy had a flush draw plus a set and I got felted on the river.
But I will say this, like, even if he has that and you have the nuts straight, he might be ahead, but it's still right to pot it and get it all in.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious because, well, I was just thinking about that after the hand. I mean, he didn't have a flush draw to go with it. He just had a set, but I just thought it was interesting.
Because, I mean, you're still going to have so much dead money from all the pre-flop players, from your original bet, and from his pot, that, I mean, you're getting enough pot odds that even if it was like 60-40 and you're 40%, it's still you still have enough equity that it's a good call or a good all-in.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's what happened the first big hand. Then the next hand, this one was kind of tough. So I have ace, king, queen. And
you remember what your other card was?
I think like a 10.
Okay, really good hand.
That's what I thought. But I do misplay this hand.
Is it single suited or double suited?
I believe it's single suited to the king.
Okay.
But basically what happens, we see this flop 3 ways. I flop, like what would it be like? Is that a mirror whenever it's ace, king, queen?
Yeah.
So I flop a mirror. And so basically what happens, I have about 250 in my stack, right?
Right.
Are you betting this if you raise pre-flop? Because I raised this hand pre-flop.
You have a 10?
Yep.
Yeah, I do bet this.
Okay. So I bet it. It goes pot, call, back to me, and it's over half my stack. So basically I'm all in or folding here. But it already went pot, call, no flush draws on board.
If there's no flush draws on board, this is just a straight every time. So what this is going to be, I believe, is just a math problem of there's no flush draws?
Mm-mm.
This is going to be problematic because if this is a pot and just a call, this could be a straight versus like, and this other person obviously has some of your outs. So you have let's just say you have 6 outs, which I don't think you ever do in this situation. Let's say you're 6, 12, 18, 24. So you're like 24%.
Yep. You're just killing it. Absolutely.
I mean, it really just matters how much money you're getting, like when you call this. But I mean, the problem being is I don't think you ever have all of your 6 outs. So I mean, I think you should actually do this like by 4 or 5 outs. Shit, I think it's just a fold.
I mean, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, you're just all on it. I mean, so I call, and So I go all in. I repot it.
That's another way to go with it.
Yeah, well, I made the mistake of thinking I had 9 outs instead of 6 because I didn't count the cards in my hand because I don't know. And I mean, I'm literally looking at the outs in my hand. And just like you said, I was up against a straight, the nut straight. So he has the nut straight with the jack 10. The other guy has basically like top and bottom pair with a jack 2. So, and then I had 3 pair, and it was just, I mean, then when I actually ran the math with all the cards in play, my equity was so much lower than we even just said, which was already so low.
Yeah.
So it was a complete disaster. Lost my $200 and was sad.
I mean, I do like your bet on the flop because it does put people in a dilemma if no one actually does have Jack 10 there. I do like that bet, but I mean, like a half pot bet. But the thing is, when someone pots it there, especially with no flush draw, I mean.
Oh yeah, that's not. What are we
they
hoping
just have
for?
got Jack 10 every time because shit, you're blocking. You're blocking top sets. So.
Well, here is my problem that really threw me off. Is like I was like, well, I'm not going to win this that often, but if I can go all in and get called, I'll be getting way better odds on my money. And I thought I had more equity than I did. I mean, I know it's far fetched because afterward, but this was the thought in the exact moment.
Right.
Right. Obviously, it's not correct. But
yeah, I mean, we've all had
Yeah.
incorrect thoughts in the moment. So,
but I'm saying like that's how I got there because at first I was thinking it was a fold, and then I was like, well, if I go all in for 250 and I get called, all of a sudden I'm getting, doubling or tripling my money here.
right.
But I mean, like you said, you calculate your outs, but they obviously have some of your outs.
Yeah, it's especially when that one guy just cold calls and doesn't like repot, because most people with the nut straight, if they both have nut straight, then it's gonna go pot and then repot and not pot and then call. So I mean, when he just calls and there's no flush draw, I mean, gotta have like 2 pair or something, or
Which you did, yeah.
yeah, something like that, or like pair with a jack or 10, like that, something that has like straight potential.
Yep.
But I mean, well, at least with any jack, you would have chopped.
I mean, that's super optimistic, but yeah, I mean, that is good.
I mean, you had that extra 10. I mean, we got to take what we could get, man.
Yeah, I mean, I love the attitude, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. In hindsight, it was a complete disaster, utter disaster. But the first hand was good, I thought. So
yeah, I did like that first hand. So, well, I tell you what, not a great week for you if those are the hands we're going over is 2 PLO, not one just getting unlucky and 1 blunder.
yeah, I mean, definitely not great. Super short session too.
Well, that's PLO will make those short sessions short. So I guess from mine is ended up doing. So I just had that really good run in the Texas Card House main event. All about tournament. Like, I'm still mainly a cash game tournament player, but I tell you what, that fires you up to do a tournament.
I mean, don't see how it couldn't.
So Champions, who's I would say my favorite poker room at this point, ends up doing a $150,000 guarantee. I forget how much it was. It was like I think 360 or something.
Oh, I was thinking it was a different tournament. I thought you played a lower stakes tournament, like a $75 tournament. So we're talking about this is even before that?
I haven't done a low stakes tournament in a long time. This is the 150,000 guarantee that was.
Oh, that's right. You ended up okay. Yeah,
I mean, this might seem low stakes because I just did the main event at Texas Card House. Maybe that's what you're thinking.
No. I don't want to spoil anything. But okay, I'm back on board. I know.
Are you just thinking about the action that you had on me?
No, I thought. Didn't you end up profiting $75
in this tournament?
What tournament did you profit $75 in? Because remember I told you like
like a fucking free roll at a bar.
No, because I told you I told you to send me $7.50 because it'd have 10% action. Remember, I just said that to you this week.
Oh, you were thinking the Empire tournament.
That's what it was. That's a low stakes one that you played. That's the one I thought you were talking about.
That was a low stakes. Well, you're correct. I completely forgot about that. I went to play cash, had no desire to do the tournament. It was taking forever to get on the cash table, so I ended up doing that tournament. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because this is the tournament I thought you were talking about. I didn't even know that you went to Champions to play this one.
Are you fucking with me right now? I mean, you had action. You were watching. Okay, well, I don't know what's going on here. So I go, $150,000 guarantee. Like, I think it was a $365 buy-in. So I go, and I was like pretty fired up to do it, and then I decided against it. And the last minute, I decided to go in on a Friday and take a shot at it. So get in there, and as most decent, like I kind of get onto a table that there's actually some pretty good players, and get moved almost immediately. So I was pretty happy. As like I say, everything's going smoothly. Champions does a great job of running their stuff. I get into a very fickle spot very early in this tournament where I'm like, oh shit. So there's 3 limps to me, and I'm on the button. It's 2-4-4 for the blinds. I make it 2,500 with pocket jacks. The big blind 3 bets to 8,000. I call. This is fairly early. I think we have probably about 30,000 in the stack. So this is kind of a already weird sizing where I'm like, this is going to get very weird for me on a lot of flops. But there was a lot of 3 betting and stuff. I think Jax is just a little too strong to fold to a 3 bet. So the flop is 6-3-4. He jams.
This is going to be tough.
I don't love the spot here, but like once you're here, I mean, you definitely don't play pocket jacks to get a 6-3-4 flop and just to fold. I call, and he has pocket 8s, and I'm good. And I double up very early in the tournament.
God, that's a tough spot right there.
It really was. 'Cause I mean, I can't imagine anybody folding at that point, but you don't feel great about it because you're like, would he really play Ace King this way?
Oh, I mean, you said no one would fold, but I mean, I was kind of thinking about it for a second.
It's I mean, I tell you what, I didn't feel great about it until he flipped over his hand. He called. I mean, he was a really, you could tell, like a really like studied tournament player. I mean, he called out my hand before I even flipped it over. He said, you got pocket jacks. And those players usually have a very aggressive... They're way more capable of being aggressive than the average player. It's So end up doubling up, and then I just tear it up at the beginning of this tournament. I'm just crushing hands. I'm easily the chip leader at my table. I then get moved to another table and get in the seat. And you ever have something that is very insignificant, but you just feel like it's a tide turning? It's the big blind. I get up to put the rack on a table because I just wasn't sitting in there. I sit down like 4 seconds later, and they scoop my big blind, saying I wasn't in my seat.
Wait, what?
So they had me move tables. I had all my chips in a rack.
Yeah, I think I'm getting what you're saying, but
I sit my rack on the table. I sit it on the table, and the big blind is on. It comes to me. I then have the rack. There's nowhere to put it in front of me, or unless I'm just gonna sit it on the rail. So I walk over there to where they have the racks, which is I think 4 or 5 steps away. Come back. They scoop my big blind.
Is he actually even on you yet? Or did they just scoop it just because you were out of your chair?
No, I think they scooped it just because I was out of my chair.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. I know that is technically a rule. I think when you're moving seats and you're just trying to get everything out of the way for the other players, especially the rack, And if that's the rule, then they need someone behind you taking the rack.
I mean, that's super tough, man.
I mean, big blinds at this point, I was very well stacked, so it didn't hurt me. But the big blind is actually pretty sizable at this point. This is now like about middle of the tournament. So it's a big blind plus big blind ante. So I was very annoyed at this point. I mean, I'm sure the dealer, I guess that is technically the rule. The dealer has to do his job or whatever. But I thought that was a little could be given when they're the ones who moved you. You brought the rack. You're just putting it behind you.
Oh, I'll tell you what. After hearing this story, every time I get that rack, you know where that rack is going? Right on the floor.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's. And like I say, very few criticisms of Champion. I think they do the best job and have the best dealers in Houston. But I thought this was a little something where you could give a tiny bit, considering. Like I say, if that's going to be that strict, then when they move somebody, someone needs to be there just to get the rack right then and there. Because I was doing it, as a courtesy to the other players. To make room on the table, not just have a rack right in front of me.
Yeah, that's so tough, man. I don't even know. I might just frisbee it next time across the room. I don't know.
Yeah, it was. I was pretty annoyed at this point.
I feel super reasonable to be annoyed. What? It's like. It's a pretty big tournament, too. It's like a $300-some tournament.
Oh, yeah, $150,000 guaranteed. First place was $30,000. But that in itself is no big deal. But that, you can feel the tide. And, I'm not saying I'm superstitious or anything, but sometimes you just feel the tide turning. From there, I got in the next two hands, I got pocket tens to jacks. And then I got coolered another time. I go from being the chip leader at my table, coming in very well stacked, to within 30 minutes having like 20 big blinds.
This is a super sad story. Huh, okay.
So, getting crushed. At this point, I'm just all kinds of annoyed. I was killing it at my table, which... People get moved. I understand. I'm never annoyed about that. But I come into this weird situation where they scoop my big blind. I then get cooler like 3 times in a row, where I really could do nothing about it. To where I'm now I'm thinking I might win this tournament. Now I'm barely struggling. I'm going all in to stay alive. So from there I start 3-bet shoving a lot. I was doing it with like ace 4 off, king queen, just anything. Now I was not doing it with people when people were under the gun without real hands. But if they were in the hijack or cutoff and they raise, I was kind of having at it. And I tell you what, saved me from, because I was pretty card dead the entire time. Once I get coolered, I was card dead for a long time. So these probably 5 or 6 times I was able to 3-bet shove, kind of kept me in it. Because you got to think, if you have 15 big blinds, someone raises to 3, and you 3-bet shove, well, you've almost increased your stack by 30% when they fold.
Well, I was thinking if you're a card dead for a long time, you're going to have to win some to not be out of the tournament.
Yeah, so I kind of just survive at this table until they break tables. And then the next one, I end up picking up some hands and then kind of stacking up quite a bit. We get down to the final 2 tables, and again, I lose, I think, one flip or whatever. And then end up going to, let me see, I might have had one real big hand that I might be skipping over.
I don't know, man. Taking notes on the tournaments are just so rough.
It really is.
Because it's a lot of it is just kind of, I don't want to say plays itself out, but really knowing, the kind of your shoving ranges and your opening ranges really does help. So kind of less playability post flop, a lot more just strategy pre flop, which makes it tough on the notes.
Yeah. I get to the second table, and I'm starting to get short stacked again.
I mean, that's the nature of 15 big blinds. It gets short stacked so fast.
Yeah, I had one where it was a very debatable fold. The under the gun jams, has me covered, and it comes around to me, and I'm like in the small blind with pocket tens.
Man, I'm so tempted, but
I end up making the fold.
yeah, I was about to say. I was like, I think you're probably right, but I'm tempted.
I was super tempted. I mean, it took me forever. This was one where I was like, but I'm like, if he has ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and all those, he's 50-50.
But is he ever doing with ace nine?
I don't think under the gun he would.
No,
Because he wasn't even that short stacked either. He had me covered at like 15 blinds.
No, but what I'm saying is if he's ever doing with ace nine, like you always say, best case scenario, you're coin flipping. Worst case scenario, you're almost drawing dead.
Yeah, I mean, he might do it with like sevens up. So, I mean, it was like sevens through nines. But I tell you what, not a huge range of hands that I'm hoping for. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and yeah, I'm a favorite against 2 overs, but not by much. And I tell you what, if it's queens, I'm just killed. End up making that fold. It gets down to the stone cold bubble. We're going hand for hand. I'm the shortest stack on both tables.
Okay.
I mean, I've been playing this tournament for hours, and I'm just like, I'm like,
are you telling him ICM?
good God. Yeah, I'm like, chop. The problem with being a day one event, you can't chop. So end up, I'm like, well, this is just horrid or whatever. There's one other stack who's a little bit better, who's a little bit stronger than me. He raises the cutoff, and I'm in the big blind. I look down and see King Jack. And I'm the shortest stack, but I will say I still have like probably 10 big blinds, 11. I think about jamming, but I'm like, well, how much fold equity do I have against any decent hands? It's I mean, if I have 10, 11, 12 big blinds and he's raised me 3, seems very tough to hope for king queen to fold. I'm like, well, I don't really want to jam a whole stack in here. This is way too strong with just an open fold at this blind level. I just make a call. I don't know if it's a good call. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Flop a king. He jams all in.
I was like, let me hear the results and I'll let you know if it was a good fold or not, or call.
Yeah, I mean, once you know the results, you're great. It's I snap call. I'm like, I don't love it. I'm like, he has king queen, he has ace king, he has a ton of things that beat me here, but I didn't get here with a king to fold. And he actually it was king 9-6, and he has like a 9. So end up doubling up. He has 1 chip left. So he ends up being the bubble and ends up busting out. He holds on for a little while. He actually, I think, quadrupled that 1 chip up, but yeah, that's 1 chip is pretty tough.
So you're telling me I had action on this tournament?
Huh?
You're telling me I had action on this tournament?
You had action on this tournament, and you got paid.
Did I? Okay.
I mean, again, I know your entire world is all about trolling me every single day, but so I come back and the one great thing I'm finding about these multi-flight tournaments is so on day 2, you come back whenever it was the shortest day of day 1.
Huh?
So, okay, so let's say you come back, when you come back on day 2, like where the blind levels are, let's say when the blind levels you leave off are 5-10. Another level, like, because they end at different times. One is at 4-8. Well, one's at 25-5. You come back at 25-5.
Ooh, everyone does?
Yes, yes. All of day 2 start at the same blind level, believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe that we don't have different blind levels for every table.
Say, this 2 a.m. podcast getting tough. So I was still worried about this payout that I supposedly received.
So I come back, even with like, I just doubled up and end up coming back with like 35, 40 big blinds. I mean, nothing crazy, but nothing horrible either. On the first hand I'm dealt, I flop. I have queens, and I 3-bet. Get called. Very good tournament player, Peter, the guy who is well known around here.
Okay.
Ends up. So it's a king high flop. I have pocket queens. I lead out for like a third, like half pot. He jams all in.
This is tough.
This is tough.
There seem to be in a lot of tough spots.
Yeah, it definitely was. My reasoning here is he never has ace king here. Because, I mean, he's definitely 4-betting. He probably doesn't have king queen because I'm double blocking king queen. And there's a lot of other kings I think he folds to a 3-bet.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying here.
And he's also good enough to have some bluffs here. I end up making the call. I mean, he jams for he bet enough that was like my jam, like it was basically my jam.
Yeah.
So I jam. It's like a couple more dollars to him. I think he had an ace. He did have a live ace, but end up doubling up on the first hand of the day.
I mean, that's so nice, huh?
Yeah, so goes through. I don't know, in these tournaments, I seem to do this a lot, where I stay between 30, 40 big blinds the entire time, and I never get like a huge stack, but never get dwindled down too much until like the last 2 tables. And I get hit by a gigantic hand, and I'm left with 3 big blinds.
That's sad.
That was rough. I jam it and win, I think a 3 or 4-way pot. I end up jamming it again, and I double up. I jam it again and double up again. I go from 3 big blinds to coming in at the final table as second chip lead in about 25 minutes. It was one of the crazier things that I've ever done in one of these tournaments. Just one of those that I was getting good hands. Finally got some good hands. They all held. Was a dog one time, but ended up winning that hand and get to the final table, and which it's live streamed, and we're really playing for some decent money at this point. It's first place is $30,000. So it's been end up going card dead as hell on this final table. It was pretty rough. The first 3 hands were at the bottom of my range. I get 3-bet and have to fold. Looking back, they were all correct folds, but at that point, it kind of felt like you were getting bullied because you don't know in the moment. Get pocket jacks. I 3-bet jam against ace king, and ace king spikes the ace on the flop and holds. And then later, the same player ends up min raising, and I do make maybe not the best call with 9-7 off, but it's a min raise in my big blind. And I'm like, well, this is a hand that, like, I don't know, I could be ahead of certain things if I flop decent. I mean,
yeah, it's always so tough, man. Like, we'll talk about something that I need to, well, I don't know if I need to study it per se, but I find at least interesting, is big blind defending range when you're short stacked in these tournaments.
That is probably something I need to look at, because I'm in that same boat.
I mean, I'd have no idea if 9-7 is a good call or not. I mean, because it seems like you should be able to call so wide whenever you're already in for 1 blind and they make it 2. but it's still a huge portion of your stack whenever you only have 10 big blinds or whatever, or 8.
Yeah, I think at this point I had like 15 maybe.
So
So
I'm just saying, like, when you're really...
But yeah, you're right. Like, I don't know. I have a hard time giving this up a lot when it's, if they make it 4 and it's 2, and I have 2,000 in there. Well, once you call the 2, I mean, you're calling 2 to win your 2, therefore 6. Your big blind ante, 8. The small blind. So 2,000 to win 9,000. Seems like I have equity of some sort. I mean, to call, but I end up flop open-ended. I jam, and he tank calls. On my jam, I was like, well, if I check and he bets and I jam, I think he just might be pot stuck and actually be calling with 2 overs. When I open jammed, I'm like, well, I feel like I can get a lot of ace high, like a lot of missed broadways to fold. And I'm like, well, if he has queens or jacks or something like that, then I mean, then shit, I'm open ended. It's not the worst outcome.
I mean, I love the thought process on this. At least, I mean, despite whatever the outcome may be, because I don't even know what happened. But like,
he calls, I lose.
no, but I'm saying I like the thought of open jamming there to get fold equity, hopefully.
Yeah, that was my thought. I was like, well, like now I can get a king queen is still beating me, but has to fold.
Oh yeah, no,
ace jack. Yeah, that was kind of my thought at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, once you broke it down, I think it's great. I just think it's really easy just to check and flow there and let him bet then jam, and just completely blunder that situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, might have had enough blinds to do that, but I don't know. I was scared that like once he bet, he would just be kind of pot stuck at that point and just be like, but in these tournament hands, people are betting a lot smaller on average than cash game hands. That might have been the right move, but that was my thought in the moment, was to do that. And with the flop, it would all came the same. He had pocket 7, so he is definitely betting. I am 3-bet jamming, and I think he still makes the call. So I think it ceases to matter. But it was my thought in the moment was I hate to give ace king him bet, I jam, and he'd be like, well, now I have 2 overs and 25%. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, love the thought process behind it and all that. So
I end up coming in 7th for 3,700 for 4,700. Was it? I don't remember how it was. It was 4,000 something. I know.
Sure.
Yeah. So that was a
pretty awesome score.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty kind of crazy to run back-to-back final tables in these gigantic tournaments.
I mean, you're like really knocking on the door of a first or second place finish in a big one, huh? Like you're coming real like to that crazy money.
Yeah, because both are pretty. I mean, it's so nice to make a huge run in these tournaments, but it's also so painful because the 15,000 I got from the Texas Card House was great. I mean, definitely never turning it down, but you're 7 places away from 100,000. This one was great. I love the 40. I mean, I'm definitely not sad to get 4,500, but I'm 7 places away from 30,000.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but man, we always talk about how it's like those tournaments, like even with a great result, like you just said, it's always still just a little disappointing.
Oh, unless you get like first or second. Yeah, even second would be somewhat disappointing.
I was about to say, even second's disappointing.
Yeah.
No trophy.
Yeah, no shit, no trophy. So, glad to have another good tournament run. I'm probably going to... I've been a cash guy forever and a day. I think I'll still always be like an 80% cash guy, but I am going to do like some more tournaments coming up. I think I might be doing some of the WSOP in Oklahoma. I was looking at it. Even with me working that Thursday, I think I can still squeeze in a couple of those. And I always wanted to win a ring. Maybe the one time I come through, we'll be in the WSOP and a circuit event.
Yeah, I say call in to work on Thursday. Just make the trip out a little bit earlier.
You know what? There's one event that's Wednesday It's a with the $1,000 event, and if I make day 2, then I think I do call in Thursday.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah.
so yeah, it's
$1,000 event. Definitely call in.
Yeah, so we'll see. But that's my plan. I was going to do it, then realized I kind of had already scheduled myself for some stuff that was going to make it tough. But I think I'm going to try to make it in for some, because I haven't done a WSOP event. I didn't even do it in Las Vegas during WSOP, so I don't even know the last time. A circuit event was New Orleans, which would have been like 9 years ago.
I was about to say, I think you're gonna tell me you've never even done one before.
It was before I knew you.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. So.
Wow. I guess on that note, this concludes Text Poker Podcast. I'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.